Okay, let's join. Any idea about Unit 1 title? Unit 5 title? Anyone can reply me? What I have posted in group?
Design for manufacturing and product development.
Yes, good. Okay, let's join. Can you see the slide what I am displaying you? Say yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, good. So today we are going to start with a new topic, new unit, Unit 5, which covers the design for manufacturing and product development. So till now we have decided a product. We have from the beginning planning, then concept generation, concept selection, concept testing, product architecture, then industrial design. Till this, the stage of the product is been. Okay, it's the procedure or the process we have covered. So what you are going to understand from the topic design for manufacturing and product development. Why we have to deal with design for manufacturing. So till now the product is not the final product. To go to the next level, to have to finalize the final product, and design for manufacturing procedure have to be followed. Okay, here comes the manufacturing cost details. Okay, so a lot of details have to be covered in the manufacturing unit. So design for manufacturing and product development. So first we have to understand what are all the relevant topics to be covered under Unit 5. So design for manufacturing and product development, we are going to understand the definition of what is design for manufacturing. DFM. Okay, in short they say DFM. Okay. DFM. Next, we will understand how to put an estimation, how to calculate a manufacturing cost. A lot of things to be kept as an input, and as a result, what output you get, what is the cost estimation, okay, for a manufacturing cost or estimation of manufacturing cost. So ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் இது வரைக்கும் நம்ம அனலைஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். How it look like, still prototype we would have come from. Okay, now we have to finalize the product, we have to produce the product more. So in that case, estimation of manufacturing cost plays a vital role. This makes the company in a profit manner. Then we will understand how to reduce the component cost. So எதுக்கு நம்ம இதெல்லாம் focus பண்ணணும்? For example, if you are working under HP companies, as you are developing a lot of products related with that for different types of customers, so you have to reduce the component cost based on the products you are going to design. So for a document printer, you need not spend more money, more component. What is the basic structure needed? What are the basic needed for a paper printouts? For that, you have to focus on reducing the component cost. For that, you have to focus on reducing the component cost for some products. And assembly cost, unnecessary assembly cost you need not frame. You can reduce those assembly costs, minimize system complexity. When you minimize this system complexity, obviously you will reduce the manufacturing cost. Okay, I'm just telling some general points. Then prototype basics, that will understand what is prototype basics. What do you mean by prototype? Just a temporary model we have to frame. What are the principles for that? Because that resembles the final product. So prototype we have to focus on more basics. Then principles of prototypes is framed already. You have to follow those principles when you are creating a prototype for a product. Planning for prototype, there are different types of plan. What plan you are going to choose for creating a prototype? economic analysis you have to do to reach the market level, understand and represent the task related with that. Baseline product planning is needed, and accelerating the project and project execution. A lot of details and easy for us to understand the points. Just wait, students, and admit. Okay. So first, what we have seen, we have to understand the definition of design for manufacturing. What will be the design for manufacturing in general? Let's go for the net point of view. Design for manufacturing. What it mean by design for manufacturing? So design for manufacturing, or you can say DFM, design for manufacturability, is the optimization of a part. Focus on optimization. You should not think of complex process. How much you can do integrated, how much you can reduce the size of the product is more convenient for us. So optimization of a parts, product or component design to create this cheaper and more easily. So because once the manufacturing cost becomes more, then obviously product will, should be sold more, but you can't reach most of the customer level. Okay? So you have to think of these things when you are considering design for manufacturing. What is the hint? The optimization of a part, products or a component design to create this cheaper and more easily. Now we'll go for book point of view. Customer need. Obviously, we are creating a product to satisfy the customer. So, if you are not focusing on customer need, then no use of creating any product or manufacturing any product. So, customer need and product specifications related with customer need. This is the specifications needed for the product, and what the company specifications will be for a product. So customer needs and product specifications are useful for guiding the concept phase of product development. Any concept, you say this product has this concept idea, it deals with customer needs and product specifications, then only it is said to be a concept. Okay, so concept phase, these two things are the guidelines. During the late development activity scheme, you know what are all the process involved for product development phase. So often has difficulty linking in needs. So if anything has been mismatched, we are not satisfying the customer need, or specification mentioned for a product is not fulfilled, to specific design issues you face, they normally face. So for this reason only, there will be a separate team for a product development life cycle. There will be a separate team who does this design for X. What is design for X is nothing but design for manufacturing methodologies. So what is that X here deals with? The dozens of quality. Yes, admit panuma.
Yes, ma'am.
Later varaanga paruங்க. So design for manufacturing, what is the definition? As the whole concept phase of a development, product development deals with customer needs and product specifications. If you feel any specific design issues, so there is a separate team who are involved to identify the quality which is left out. So dozens of quality criteria such as if the product is fulfilling the customer needs and product specifications, this team will check. So what are the criteria they check with? Reliability, whether the product is reliable or not, whether it's a robust products. Serviceable, okay, serviceability, it serves more customers. Environmental impact, any biological or environmental change the product should withstand. Or manufacturability, it should be produced by the manufacturing unit. All the components, all the parts, all the materials should be available. So if this products fulfill all the It means the concept. The concept we are choosing. That's why from the concept phases, we have to deal with the manufacturing unit. That lines we will be covering throughout the product life cycle. In the stage எடுத்துட்டோம் ஒரு product architecture design பண்ற team வந்து should communicate with the manufacturing unit team whether the equipments or is available or not, or any tool have to be brought up new for this type of concept. So always throughout the product life cycle, starting from the concept phase, there will be a communication between the manufacturing team. So design for X methodologies where X may correspond to one of the dozens of quality criteria. So this team focus on whether the product is being fulfilled with the reliability, robustness, serviceability, environmental impact or manufacturability. The most common of these methodology is focused on when you follow this design for manufacturing. Design for manufacturing rules and principles when you are following, automatically the products will be a good concept product and in fulfilling the customer need and the product specifications. So which is the universal important because it's directly address the manufacturing cost. Whenever you deal with the design for manufacturing, it directly implies the manufacturing cost. How important is this manufacturing cost? We'll come to know in this unit 5. So what are the main points, or you think a hint or key points for this definition part? One main thing is customer need and product specifications are useful for guidance, the concept phase of product development, and if any of the development activity face some drawbacks in these links, needs or specification that specified design issues being faced, it can be identified through the design for X team. So this methodology mainly deals with dozens of quality criteria such as the very important points. The product should be fulfilled with the reliability, robustness, serviceability, environmental impact or manufacturability. That's it. That is enough. Next. You are telling, right? We are telling that design for manufacturing, which is universally important because it's directly address the manufacturing cost. So you have to understand what is manufacturing cost. In general, we'll see what is manufacturing cost. So you have a list of items like this. Any product you design, okay, when you are working as an entrepreneurship also, if you want to focus on designing any product, obviously you have to understand what is manufacturing cost. So it's a sum of cost of all resources that is used to build a product. Okay, what are all the resources needed to build a product? So sum of all the cost of all resources consumed in the process of making a product. Not only the full design, for making the design for the product, what are all the requirements like materials, material cost, okay, fabrication cost, tool cost, equipment cost, many things are there. So manufacturing cost is the sum of cost of all resources consumed in the process of making a product. So now you can understand why we have to reduce this manufacturing cost. When you are reducing this manufacturing cost, then it's easy for us to focus on giving a quality products. How you will reduce, reducing sum of cost for all resources. Now you have to understand for your product whether we are relevantly using the materials, relevantly using the equipments, or unnecessary spending more amount, okay, which is no use. Adamari you have to analyze. That's why we have to learn with a few headings like reducing. Here in the topic la pathave, focus on reducing the component cost, reducing the assembly cost. So manufacturing cost, the manufacturing cost is classified into 3 categories. So what are all it comprises of? Direct material cost, direct labor cost, and manufacturing overhead. Very important key points. Whenever you have to deal with manufacturing cost, it has been categorized into 3 types: direct material cost, direct labor cost, or manufacturing overhead. So what are all cost comes under direct material cost? What are all the things comes under direct labor cost that you will see. So, in the book point of view, manufacturing cost is a key determinant of the economic success of a product. So, how we are framing this manufacturing cost with the direct material cost or direct labor cost or manufacturing overhead? The criteria which you frame on the list of equipments or materials, you have a list, right, for you developing your product. So manufacturing cost is acting as a key determinant of a economic success of a product. ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் எந்த அளவுக்கு அது சக்ஸஸ் ஆகுதோ, okay, it's all deal with the manufacturing cost you frame. So in simple terms, economic success depends on profit margin earned on each sales of the product. ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் ஒரு கஸ்டமர் லைக் பண்றாங்கன்னா because of its rate, its quality, all those things what I have told. When a customer like our product, when the product is a reliable product, when the product is robust product, when it is very serviceability for all most of the customers, okay, more dependency are there, okay, environmental impact does not affect the product, manufacturability, any parts have to be changed inside a product component. All those equipments or parts or components should be available till 5 or 10 years. That's called as manufacturability. Supporting features. So profit margin is the difference between the manufacturer's selling price and the cost of making the product. ஒரு ப்ராடக்டை நீங்கள் மேக் பண்ணும்போது நீங்கள் என்னென்னலாம் கன்சிடர் பண்ணுவீங்க? மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்ட், லேபர், அதை செய்கிறதுக்கு எவ்வளோ ஒரு மேன் பவர் வேணும். அதுக்கப்புறம் சம்திங் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் ஓவர்ஹெட்னா எக்ஸ்ட்ரா எக்யூப்மெண்ட் டூல்ஸ் நீங்கள் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணி ஒரு ஃபேப்ரிகேஷன்ஸ் பண்ணுறீங்க அந்த ப்ராடக்ட் டெவலப் பண்ணுறதுக்குன்னா அந்த காஸ்ட் எல்லாம் நம்ம அந்த ப்ராடக்ட் காஸ்ட்டுக்கு போடும். தட் இஸ் த பாயிண்ட். ஸோ ப்ராஃபிட் மார்ஜின்ஸ் எப்படி ரீச் பண்ணுவோம்னா த டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் பிட்வீன் த மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் செல்லிங் ப்ரைஸ். மேனுஃபேக்சரர்ஸ் ஒரு ப்ரைஸ் ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க and the cost of making the product. That manufacturing selling price and the cost of making the product together, the difference between these two only, you will find the profit margin. For example, manufacturing selling price வந்து ஒரு லிஸ்ட் ஆஃப் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் போடுறாங்க. அதில் என்னென்ன இருக்குது? டைரக்ட் மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்ட் இருக்கும், டைரக்ட் இவ்வளோ ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, அதுக்கப்புறம் இவ்வளோ மேன் பவர் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க இந்த ப்ராடக்ட்டுக்கு பில் பண்ணுறதுக்கு, அதுக்கப்புறம் ஓவர்ஹெட், செப்பரேட் எக்யூப்மெண்ட்ஸ், டூல்ஸ் வி ஹாவ் brought up, and then அந்த காஸ்ட் எல்லாமே இதுக்குள்ள வந்துடும். அகெயின் காஸ்ட் ஆஃப் மேக்கிங் த ப்ராடக்ட், அந்த அசம்பிளி, அந்த ப்ராசஸ் இருக்கு இல்லையா. ஒரு ஆட்டோமொபைல் இண்டஸ்ட்ரீஸில் பார்த்தா ஈவன் தோ மெட்டீரியல்ஸுக்கு அந்த மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட்டுக்கு செப்பரேட்டாக ஒரு லிஸ்ட் இருக்கும். ஒரு காஸ்ட் ஆஃப் மேக்கிங் த ப்ராடக்ட், இந்த ஒர்க் ப்ராசஸ், ஓகே, ஏதாவது ஒன்று ஸ்டாப் ஆனாலுமே அகெயின் we will not reach the profit margin. So the difference between the manufacturing selling price and the cost of making the product together will tell us the profit margin. Design for manufacturing is a key point. Difference between manufacturing selling price and the cost of making. 2 marks take a chance. So design for manufacturing is one of the most integrative practice involved in product development. So DFM, design for manufacturing, it lies information for several types. So what are they will say. So இப்போ நம்ம சொல்கிறோம்ல, டிசைன் ஃபார் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் இஸ் அ செப்பரேட் டீம் இன்வால்வ் ஃபார் ஃபோக்கஸிங் ஆன் வெதர் த ப்ராடக்ட் இஸ் அ ரிலையபிள், ரோபோஸ்னஸ், அந்த கீ பாயிண்ட்ஸ்லாம் காமிச்சோம் இல்லையா. ஸோ வாட் ஆர் ஆல் இட் யூட்டிலைசஸ் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்ஸ், வாட் ஆர் ஆல் த டீட்டெயில்ஸ் இஸ் given from the team to the customer or to the company. Sketches, drawings, okay. As you know, design for manufacturing team works starting from concept development phases. So what are all the details they will have as an input in their hand? The product sketches now concept, adoda industrial designing oda works, sketch, drawings, every details will be with the design for manufacturing team. So product specifications, whatever is mentioned by the customer, what are all the company specification details. Design alternatives, any alternative, one fail, what will be the other, every details will be within the DFM. DFM utilizes information of several types. That only we are seeing now. A detailed understanding of productions, okay, and assembly process. We get a final product, but to build that final product, what are all the necessary materials needed? Okay, what is the standard dimensions you have to follow to build such a product? So detailed understanding of production and assembly process, okay, which have to be fabricated, which have to we say like dependent variable, independent variable, all those things comes under here. Estimates of manufacturing cost. So what are all the details covered in manufacturing cost? It covers, as I have shown, the definition for manufacturing cost. It involves three categories: direct material cost, direct labor cost, and manufacturing overhead. So when you are understanding this slide, so you will have the list or estimation of manufacturing cost, production volume to build that product, how much of space is needed, what is the infrastructure you have to follow when you are building the product, whether it's sufficient for this production unit or you have to build some separate. So what is the production volume? All those details will be with this DFM. Rapid up time. Rapid up, if you see some customer at the beta version itself able to buy the product more, then automatically we have to focus on putting more labor and understand the situations and make the production in a faster mode. This we have already covered. So all those details will be with the DFM. The DFM is performed throughout the development process, starting from concepts development phase till the production phase. So DFM begins during the concept development phase when the product functions and specifications are being determined. Okay, when the product. So in the concept development phases, we will come to understand the customer need. You will have the customer need statement. Okay, each and every activity involved in a product development phase, whether the product functionality is fulfilled, specifications are fulfilled, concepts go with the customer need. So everything will be determined in the DFM. I think you are able to understand the flow. So we were covering the definition of DFM, then followed by what is manufacturing cost. So this manufacturing cost, which is acting as a key determinant of an economic success of a product, then you have to understand when we will when we will reach that economic success, when you depend on a profit margin. What do you mean by profit margin? It's nothing but the difference between the manufacturing selling price and the cost of making the product. That's all the important points. Next, this point is very important. DFM utilizes information with several types like sketches, drawings, product specification, design alternatives. First, second, detailed understanding of the productions and assembly process, estimates of manufacturing costs, production volumes, and ramp-up time. Overview of the DFM process. What do you mean by overview? What are all the things happened in a DFM process? So DFM method is also a method, deals with some separate team, begins with estimation of manufacturing cost. First step involved in DFM is we have to estimate the manufacturing cost of the proposed design. So whatever design, whatever concept, proposed design is a new product or a concept. So what is the list of manufacturing cost framed for building that product, that concept, proposed design? So estimation of manufacturing cost. So this begins, as it begins with estimation of manufacturing cost, it helps the team to determine at general level which aspects of the design component, assembly or support. Or most costly. For example, you just imagine you're working under DFM team, design for manufacturing team. So helps the team to determine at a general level which aspects of design, component, assembly or support are most costly. இப்போ வந்து நீங்க டீம்ல வந்து இந்த நியூ ப்ராடக்டோட லிஸ்ட் நீங்க பண்றீங்க. What are all the manufacturing cost category you will focus on? Direct material cost, direct labor cost, component overhead cost. As you have to deal with these things, the team members determine the general level of design components. ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட்டை டிசைன் பண்ணுறதுக்கு என்னென்ன காம்பனன்ட்ஸ் தேவைப்படுது, what type of assembly, whether fabrications or you have to deal with regular integrations or just fixing the parts, okay, molding or whatever process, how the assembly is done, developing a product. Any support is needed. Production unit volume was not sufficient now, you need to put some more. So this helps the team to determine at general level which aspects of the design component or assembly or support are most focusing on costly, whether which part is most costly. ஏன்னா இந்த இடத்துல நம்ம எஸ்டிமேஷன் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணும்போதே as we have the list of details like direct material cost, direct labor cost, as well as the manufacturing overhead, all the details with our hand, along with the list of equipments. We have these things, right? We have estimation of cost, manufacturing cost, production volume, and ramp up timing. So this team will decide this parts இந்த மாதிரி டிசைன் காம்பனன்ட்ஸ்லையா இல்லை அசம்பிளில எந்த இடத்துல காஸ்ட் அதிகமாக இருக்கு, most cost has been found out. Okay, they do some analysis and find out whether component spend for designing developing the product is more, இல்லை assemble timeல ஒரு 2-3 காம்பனன்ட்ஸ் அசம்பிள் பண்ணும்போது அங்கே காஸ்ட் ஜாஸ்தியாக இருக்கா, காஸ்ட்லியாக தெரியுதா, இல்லை ப்ரொடக்ஷன் யூனிட்லேயே வந்து காஸ்ட் அதிகமாகுதா. So or which most costly. So the team then directs its attentions to the appropriate area in the subsequent steps. So எந்த இடத்துல காஸ்ட் அதிகமாக இருக்கோ அதில் ஃபோக்கஸ் அதிகமாக இருக்கும். So this process will be done iterative. So several steps எடுத்துட்டு we have to focus on reducing those things. ஏன்னா மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் அதிகமாகிட்டா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக ப்ராடக்ட் காஸ்ட் அதிகமாகிடும். அப்புறம் நிறைய கஸ்டமர்ஸை நம்ம சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை பண்ண மாட்டோம், நிறைய இஷ்யூஸ் இருக்குது. ஸோ இட்ஸ் நாட் unusual to recompute the manufacturing cost estimations and to improve the design of the product dozens of times before agreeing that it is good enough. So அதனாலவே இந்த team will focus on those analysis. If they find any part one thing is spend more costly, again some iteration steps have to be involved to make it reduce. When you do in this time itself, then say product dozens of times before agreeing that it is good enough, அதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம iterations பண்ணி நம்ம அதை கம்மி பண்ணிட்டா then it is said to be a good thing to be proceeded in the next process. As long as the product design is improving, the DFM iteration, the product design is improving, it have to have a good design component, the standard components. சரி, அதுக்கு காஸ்ட் இருந்தால் ஓகே, பட் அன்னெசரி காஸ்ட் நம்ம போட்டிருக்கோம், அதனால் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் எஸ்டிமேஷன் ஜாஸ்தி இருக்குது. விச் யூ ஹவ் ஃபவுண்ட் அவுட், யூ ஹாவ் டு மேக் த ப்ராடக்ட் டிசைன் டு பி இம்ப்ரூவ்ட். தென் DFM iterations may continue even until pilot production begins. ஈவன் ஒரு நம்ம இதை வந்து இந்த ஸ்டேஜில் நம்ம ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணிட்டோன்னா it is easy for us to improve our product design. If any drawbacks has been found out here itself, then the steps will be followed till the production begins. Or production begin அப்பம்போது கூட there will be some drawbacks in whether the production can be started or not. ஸோ அப்படி சில இடத்துல அப்படிதான் நல்ல ப்ராடக்ட்லாம் டெவலப் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க, ஒரு ஸ்டேஜில் அப்புறம் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் ஜாஸ்தி ஆயிடுச்சு, இது டெவலப் பண்ணாவும் அது அந்த அளவுக்கு மார்க்கெட் லெவலுக்கு ரீச் ஆகுது, நிறைய கஸ்டமர்ஸ் வாங்க போகிறது இல்லை. ஸோ இந்த ப்ரொடக்ஷனை ஸ்டாப் பண்ணுறது நல்லதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு ஸ்டேஜில் தே வில் ஸ்டாப். ஸோ ப்ராடக்ட் டிசைன் இஸ் இம்ப்ரூவிங், தென் DFM iterations also is being followed, may continue even until pilotனா ப்ரொடக்ஷன் பிகின்ஸ் பண்ணுற வரைக்கும் it will be doing all the analysis will be done. DFM analysis, iterations will be done. If it is sufficient, then they will start the production. That's the point. So you have to understand what are all the things happen in the DFM process. It not only have the it does not have that's the informations of these things like sketch drawing of a concept or a product or specification. Not only it handles these things, but also to start a production it have to do more analysis, and if anything is found out cost more, iteration process have to be done to reduce those things and focus on product designing, improving. Okay? If this analysis is taking more time, they are telling an important point that DFM iterations may even continue even until pilot productions begins. Last, so DFM method consists of 5-step plus iterations. அதனால புரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க, ப்ரொடக்ஷன் பைலட் பிகின்ஸ் பண்ற வரைக்கும் ஐட்ரேஷன்ஸ் போயிட்டு இருக்கும். ஸோ வாட் ஆர் த மெயின் steps involved as you are working on DFM team? You have to remember 5-step method to be followed. Today we are only going to understand what is estimate the manufacturing cost and wind up soon. So what are the 5 headings? Estimate the manufacturing cost, reduce the cost of component. Very important thing, because here is we have understood the overview of a DFM process. If anything is found out cost more, component or assembly, that's the point here. Component or assembly or any supporting productions unit cost more, you have to focus on reducing. So எப்படி reduce பண்ணணும், நம்ம எடுத்த உடனே எல்லாத்தையும் reduce பண்ண முடியாது. So for that you have to follow some procedure. Again, for reducing the cost of assembly, you have to follow some procedure. If those principles are being fulfilled, rules are fulfilled, then you can reduce, or else you can keep as set. So what are the steps involved for reducing the cost of component? At a stretch you can't reduce more, so there is some steps to be followed here. Reduce the cost of supporting production. Consider the impact of DFM, design for manufacturing, decisions on other factors. Where either environmental or biological factors will you, number few things you have to keep in mind when you follow this method, DFM. Okay, consider the impact of DFM decisions on other factors. What are the other factors? We'll come to know in this 5th step. So kindly note down, the DFM method consists of 5-step plus iteration. First is estimate the manufacturing cost, reduce the cost of component, reduce the cost of assembly, reduce the cost of supporting productions, consider the impact of DFM decisions on other factors. First step, estimate the manufacturing cost. Very simple. நம்ம அப்போ லிஸ்ட் ஒன்று ஃபார்ம் பண்ணணும். நம்ம என்னென்னலாம் நம்ம இதில் கன்சிடர் பண்ணணும். You are working under DFM team. You are going to perform step 1 process. Estimate the manufacturing cost. The input includes. So ஒரு list of experimental manufacturing cost நீங்கள் போடுறதுக்கு என்னென்ன input வேணும். For this input, what will be the output generally? ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட்டை டெவலப் பண்ண போறீங்க, ஒரு எஸ்டிமேஷன் ஆஃப் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் நீங்கள் ஃப்ரேம் பண்ண போறீங்க. ஸோ வாட் ஆர் த இன்புட் ஃபார் தட் எஸ்டிமேஷன் ஃபார் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட்? ரா மெட்டீரியல்ஸ். ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் பில்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு வேண்டியது ரா மெட்டீரியல்ஸ், அதோட காஸ்ட். பர்ச்சேஸ்டு காம்பனண்ட். ஓகே, ரா மெட்டீரியல்ஸ் வேற, பர்ச்சேஸ்டு காம்பனண்ட் வேற. ஓகே, ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஒரு வயர்டுனா உள்ள இருக்கிற மெட்டீரியல்ஸ் டிஃபர் ஆகும். ஓகேவா, அவுட்லெட். ஸோ லைக் தட் ரா மெட்டீரியல்ஸ், பர்ச்சேஸ் காம்பனண்ட், எம்ப்ளாய்ஸ் எஃபோர்ட், லேபர். ஓகே, எம்ப்ளாய்ஸ் எஃபோர்ட், எனர்ஜி அண்ட் எக்யூப்மெண்ட். ஸோ ஜென்ரலாக உங்களுக்கு அனலைஸ் பண்ணால் இன்புட் பற்றி உங்களுக்கு தெரியணும். டைரக்ட் மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்ட், டைரக்ட் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் லேபர் காஸ்ட், அது எல்லாமே கவர் பண்ணுற மாதிரி. ஸோ இன்புட். ஸோ வாட் ஆர் ஆல் த இன்புட்ஸ் யூ ஹேவ் டு ரிமெம்பர் டு எஸ்டிமேட் த மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட்? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒன் இஸ் raw materials, purchased components. இப்போ காம்பனன்ட்ஸ் தனியாக பர்ச்சேஸ் பண்ணி அந்த ரா மெட்டீரியல்ஸ் அதுக்குள்ளே ஃபில் பண்ணுவோம். ஃபேப்ரிகேஷன், மோல்டிங் ஏதாவது ப்ராசஸ் இருக்குன்னா அதுதான் ஜென்ரலாக சொல்கிறது. பர்ச்சேஸ் காம்பனண்ட், எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் எஃபோர்ட் டு மேக் தட் ஃபேப்ரிகேஷன்ஸ், எனர்ஜி, what type of energy, whether you need or dependent on electrical energy or mechanical energy to build that product. Equipment, tools needed. So all comes under input. Output now the finished goods. After implementing those input, you'll get a finished goods, right, product, and some wastage. Obviously you'll have a wastage. So manufacturing cost is a sum of these two things. இதை வச்சு தான் ஈவன் வேஸ்டேஜையும் நம்மளுக்கு அந்த ப்ராடக்டில் போட்டு தான் நம்மளுக்கு அந்த காஸ்ட்டை ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் ஒவ்வொரு ப்ராடக்ட்டுக்குமே யூ வில் ஸ்பெண்ட் மணி. ஒரு மொபைல் ஃபோனை வாங்குறீங்கன்னா அந்த மொபைல் ஃபோனை பில்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு என்னென்ன raw materials use பண்ணாங்க, என்னென்ன purchased components they have done from the suppliers, employees effort for building each and every part, okay, energy, okay, energy levels and equipment, tools. இதுக்குன்னு ஒரு இப்போ உங்களுக்கு என்ன ஃபோன் நீங்கள் கையில் வச்சுருக்காங்களோ, சாம்சங் ஆர் ஐஃபோன், என்ன ஃபோன் வச்சுருந்தாலும் அந்த அந்த தகுந்த ஷேப்பை வந்து அவங்க டிஃபால்ட்டாக யூனிட்டில் வச்சுருப்பாங்க, எக்யூப்மெண்ட் யூனிட்டில் வச்சுருப்பாங்க. ஸோ ஜஸ்ட் யூ கேன் ஃபில் தோஸ் அண்ட் கிவ் அ மோல்டிங் ஃபார் தட் ஃபோன். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி எக்யூப்மெண்ட்ஸ். ஸோ இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் சேர்த்து தான் இந்த மொபைல் ஃபோனோட காஸ்ட், லேப்டாப்போட காஸ்ட். ஸோ அந்த காஸ்ட்டையும் நம்ம இப்போ கம்பெனிஸ்க்கு கொடுக்கும், மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் கொடுக்கறது தான் ஜாஸ்தியாக இருக்கும். அவுட்புட் இன்க்ளூட்ஸ் ஃபினிஷ்டு குட்ஸ், அதில் கண்டிப்பாக வேஸ்டேஜ் இருக்கும், அது ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ ஃபார் தட் ஆல்சோ வி வில் frame the manufacturing cost. It's a sum of all the expenditures of the input. What are all the expenditure you have spent for getting these input? Raw materials, purchase components, employee effort, energy and equipment, along with disposal of the waste produced by the system. இதெல்லாமே. So as the metric of the cost for metric na calculations you have to do, how you have to start estimating the manufacturing cost. First you have to find the unit manufacturing cost. ஒரு யூனிட்டுக்கு manufacturing cost எவ்வளவு ஸ்பெண்ட் ஆச்சு. So which is computed by dividing the total manufacturing cost. இந்த யூனிட் manufacturing cost தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நீங்கள் கால்குலேட் பண்ணணும். அப்போ இது எப்படி கால்குலேட் பண்ணுவீங்க? டோட்டல் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் யூ ஹேவ். வாட் இஸ் டோட்டல் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட்? சம் ஆஃப் ஆல் த எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் ஆஃப் த இன்புட் அண்ட் த டிஸ்போசல் ஆஃப் த வேஸ்ட் டிவைடட் பை, ஓகே, யூஸ்வலி அ குவார்ட்டர் ஆர் அ இயர். அதுதான் யூனிட் மேனுஃபேக்சர். ஒரு இயருக்கு டோட்டல் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் எவ்வளோ ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட், டிவைடட் பை த நம்பர் ஆஃப் யூனிட் ஆஃப் ப்ராடக்ட் மேனுஃபேக்சர் டூரிங் தட் பீரியட். ஓகே, ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு இவ்வளவு இன்புட்ஸ் அவுட்புட்ஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஓகே, அது மாதிரி 2 இயர்ஸ்க்கு எவ்வளோ ஆச்சு, 3 இயர்ஸ்க்கு எவ்வளோ ஆச்சு. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி யூனிட் வைஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இயர் ஆர் குவார்டர் ஹாஃப் we have to find the unit manufacturing cost. How we will compute the unit manufacturing cost? By dividing the total manufacturing cost for some period. அந்த ப்ராடக்ட்டை ஏன்னா ஒரு 6 இயர்ஸ்க்கு அப்புறம் அதோட ஸ்டாண்டர்டை மாற்றுவோம், இதோட கலர் மாற்றுவோம், சம்திங் வில் பி சேஞ்ச். ஸோ இன்ஸ்டெட் ஆஃப் எஸ்டிமேட்டிங் த மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட் ஃபார் டோட்டல் ஆஃப் 10 or 5 years, first you have to calculate unit manufacturing cost based on some quarter or year wise. So total manufacturing cost for some period by the number of units of product manufacturing during that period. இந்த 2 இயர்ஸில் இவ்வளோ பில் பண்ணாங்க, ஓகே, 5 இயர்ஸில் இவ்வளோ ப்ராடக்ட் பில் பண்ணாங்க. ஸோ த design for manufacturing method, this is our proposed design. Proposed designனா உங்ககிட்ட இருக்கிற கான்செப்ட்ஸ்க்கு, ஓகே, ஒரு ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் லேப்டாப் ஒரு மொபைல் ஃபோன்ஸ், how you will design a manufacturing unit. I mean design the manufacturing procedure method. First you have to estimate the manufacturing cost. In the steps சொன்னாலியா அதை அப்படியே ஃபாலோ பண்ணுங்க. Estimate the manufacturing cost. When you are going to focus on step 1 process, this is step 1 process. You have to reduce the cost of component. First stepலே இதெல்லாம் நீங்க கவர் பண்ணணும். Estimate the cost of component, reduce the cost of component, reduce the cost of assembly, reduce the cost of supporting production. And then you go for consider the impact of DFM decisions on other factors. Then suppose if you found something mismatch, recompute the manufacturing cost again. Okay, it's good enough to start with production, the product, then you go ahead, acceptable design, they say. If they find more cost spent unnecessary for this unit, assembly unit, again you have to do some iterations. Okay, reduce the cost of assembly, then again decide. ஏன்னா இப்போ என்விரான்மெண்டல் சுச்சுவேஷன்ஸில் சில ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் நம்ம ஃபாலோ பண்ணால் அந்த ப்ராடக்டோட ரொபோஸ்னஸ் நல்லாயிருக்கும், ரிலையபிலிட்டி நல்லாயிருக்கும். இஃப் தே ஃபைண்ட் இன் தி ஸ்டெப், அகெயின் யூ ஹாவ் டு கம்ப்யூட் த மேனுஃபேக்சரிங், யூ ஹாவ் டு ஃப்ரேம் த எஸ்டிமேஷன் ஆஃப் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் காஸ்ட். Okay, it's good enough, then you can proceed. If not, again you have to start with where they have found more or less cost they put. Okay, important factors ku cost kammiya pottavum that shows the drawback for some environmental situations, the reliability less ஆகுது. Some companies will spend more money and more time for doing this DFM analysis. But this is the workflow. Propose or any proposed design, you'll do the first step. What is the first step? Estimate the manufacturing cost. When you are analyzing the list of input and output, if they find lot of thing is been put cost more for raw materials, then automatically you have to focus on reducing the cost of components, not raw materials, in the component. Again, reduce the cost of assembly. You have to focus on reducing those things. Then consider the impact of DFM. Very important diagram you have to follow in Unit 5. DFM decisions on other factors. Recompute the manufacturing cost, and good enough you can proceed, or else iterations follow. So next, what you have to do? Next step is, after drawing this diagram, you have to understand, as you have already I have said in step 1 process, these are the input you have to consider: raw materials, purchase component, employee, effort, energy and equipment. At last, as an output, you get a finished goods and waste. So for manufacturing system, what are all the inputs needed? Equipment to build the product, informations, product specifications, tooling work, raw materials to be purchased, labor, manpower is needed to build the product, purchased component from the suppliers, energy should be induced to the product development stage. Okay. Supplies, what type of suppliers you want to depend on for getting the standard components, materials. So these are all acting as an input. And the suppliers you can spend money. To choose the vendors, to choose the suppliers, you have to spend the money. Services, extra services from some well-known companies. You get some services to promote your products. Okay, some brand name services to be dependent on. Again, here these are the inputs. Whatever has been pointed inside this manufacturing system, like raw materials, labor, purchase components, energy, supply, services, equipment, information, toolings are all acting as an input. Okay, and at last you get the final goods and waste as an output. A simple input-output model of a manufacturing system. The product manufacture பண்றதுக்கு what are all the inputs you have needed, and at last what type of output you will get. As I have already told, whenever you are doing involving to do step 1 process, estimating the manufacturing cost, first you have to calculate the unit manufacturing cost. How you will calculate the unit manufacturing cost of a product consists of cost in 3 categories. So on the unit manufacturing cost estimate பண்றதுக்கு, you have to consider some cost. What are the costs you have to consider? Component cost. Okay, 1 year.
Good morning, ma'am.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
See, third year students, repeatedly you want me to tell. What others are doing? What others are doing? Only 50% of students are here. Ma'am, you are taking combined class, is it not?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Very low.
Charumati?
Yes, ma'am.
I want immediately all the girls to be joined. I'll be on the line only.
Okay, ma'am.
Yesterday evening also for TOC, I'm seeing only 60, 63 was there. What you people are doing? You all are sleeping, huh? Hey, I want to give some general instruction. I want all the 120 students to be inside the meet. Harsha? Where is Harsha here?
He didn't join the class, ma'am.
Why? What happened?
Don't know, ma'am.
Pudivel is here, huh? Asif? Ma, what all VIPs are doing? Ma, post in your personal group. Ask everyone to join. Ma'am, your class is going to get completed, isn't ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No issues.
Okay. Next hour, no, I will come inside. I want all the students to be inside. I'm telling I want to give some instructions. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
No. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. What the remaining students are doing, their duty is to attend the online classes and offline, right? Okay, last two slides. That's it. So component cost, so unit manufacturing cost of a product, you have to consider three categories. Component cost consists of parts of the product. ஒரு ப்ராடக்டை பில்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு என்னென்ன பார்ட்ஸ் தேவைப்படுது, we include a standard parts purchased from the suppliers. இப்போ ஹெச்பின்னா அவங்க ஒரு ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் பார்ட்ஸ் தான் ரெகுலராக அவங்க ஒரு சப்ளையர்ஸ் கிட்ட டிபெண்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ ஃபார் தட் example, whatever comes under component cost, like motors you want to need for a automobile type of products, switches for electrical related products, or electronic chips for computer related products, and screws for furniture related products. So it differs according to the product. So standard components are listed here. So other components are custom parts. Customer will depend on in the parts that you use பண்ணனும் உங்க product build பண்றது. So like that they intimate something. So make according to the manufacturing design from raw materials, such as what are all the raw materials made according to the manufacturing design from raw materials such as sheet steels, plastic pellets, or aluminum bars. So there are a lot of fabrications, raw materials needed for building those components for motor, switcher, electronic, anything. So some custom components are made in the manufacturing own plant. சில கம்பெனிஸ்ல well-versed developed companies, they themselves will create the customer component. Customer will specify some components to be built out in the large scale industries. அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும்போது manufacturers own plant is used for it, while others may be produced from suppliers. Some companies depend on suppliers, vendors, but some components, customer components, are built by companies manufacturing own plant itself. So component cost deals these information. So the unit manufacturing cost for a product you find பண்ணும்போது three categories you have to keep in mind. First one is component cost. Second one is assembly cost. Okay, so component cost, you got an idea. First, whenever you hear a word component, it deals with the part, okay, parts of the product. Standard parts, or you say standard components, is nothing but motors, switches, electronic chips. So for building those components, what are the raw materials needed, like sheet steel, plastic pellets, and aluminum bars. These are raw materials, components. Again, another hint for you to remember, customer components are made in manufacturing own plant, while others may be produced by suppliers according to the manufacturing design specifications. Assembly cost is very simple. Different, what do you mean by discrete goods? Here, discrete means something separate or disconnected or unconnected goods are generally assembled from parts. So the process of assembling almost ஒரு separate components நீங்க ஒண்ணா integrate பண்ணணும், assemble பண்ணணும். So for that the process of assembling almost always incurs labor cost. It includes labor cost. கண்டிப்பா components either using equipment you have to integrate or using some labor, manpower, and those all comes under assembly cost. may also include cost for equipment. Equipments வச்சு assemble பண்ற ப்ராசஸும் இருக்கு, மேன் பவர் வச்சு assemble பண்ற ப்ராசஸும் இருக்கு, டூலிங் யூஸ் பண்ணி கேட் டூல்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி சும்மா ஒரு ஃபேப்ரிகேஷன்ஸ்க்காக. திஸ் இஸ் ஃபார் ஜஸ்ட் கிவிங் அ டிசைன். கேட் டூல்ஸ் நான் சொல்கிறேன், பட் தெர் ஆர் சம் ஹார்ட்வேர் ரிலேட்டட் டூல்ஸ் டு ஹெல்ப் டு பில்ட் த ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ், assemble the parts. So, மூணு thing: labor cost, cost of equipment for equipments and tooling. It all comes under assembly cost. Last one, overhead cost. Very simple. கண்டிப்பா நிறைய companies if you focus on, they spend more money in overhead cost. அப்படின்னா என்ன மேம் overhead costனா? It's a category used to encompasses all of the other cost. என்னென்ன other cost எல்லாம் வரும்? Two types of overhead cost இருக்கு. Remember, component costல we have discussed parts பற்றி, raw materials பற்றி. Assemble costல labor cost பற்றி discuss பண்ணோம், cost for equipment and tooling. Here, overhead cost consists of two types: support cost and other indirect allowance. இப்போ நிறைய ப்ராஜெக்ட் செய்யும் போது ஒரு கான்ட்ராக்ட் பேஸில் அவங்க வந்து முடிப்பாங்க ஒரு சீக்கிரம் வேலையை. ஸோ ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக அதுக்கு வந்து இதுவெல்லாம் வந்து ஓவர் ஹெட் காஸ்ட். ஓகே, கான்ட்ராக்ட் பேஸ்ட்னா கான்ட்ராக்டுக்கு லேபர்ஸ் இருப்பாங்க, அவங்களுக்கும் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணணும். கான்ட்ராக்ட் பேஸ்ட்னா அது ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட 2-5 monthsக்கு கண்டிப்பாக முடிச்சு அவங்க ப்ராஜெக்டை. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் கால்ட் அஸ் ஓவர் ஹெட் காஸ்ட். யூ ஸ்பெண்டிங் மோர் அமௌண்ட் ஃபார் கான்ட்ராக்ட் பேஸ்ட் திங்ஸ். சப்போர்ட் காஸ்ட்னா என்னன்னு சொல்கிறேன். சப்போர்ட் காஸ்ட் அசோசியேட்டட் வித் மெட்டீரியல் ஹேண்ட்லிங். ஓகே, குவாலிட்டி அசூரன்ஸ். இப்போ உங்கள் லேப்டாப்பும் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு கம்பெனி பீப்புள் சோல்வ் பண்ணுறாங்க, ஆல்ரெடி தே வில் ஸ்பெண்ட் மணி ஃபார், நீங்கள் எதுவுமே பண்ண வேண்டாம். சில கம்பெனி பீப்புள்ஸ் வந்து விண்டோஸ் 10 அவங்களே இன்ஸ்டால் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருவாங்க, வெரி பெஸ்ட் செக்யூரிட்டி சாஃப்ட்வேர்ஸ் வந்து இன்பில்ட் பண்ணி கொடுத்துட்றாங்க. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் வந்து பண்ணணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை, பட் சம் கம்பெனிஸ் வில் டேக் ஸ்டெப் இன் புட்டிங் சம் ஓவர் ஹெட் காஸ்ட் and make the product to be sold to many customers, liked by many customers. So this is called a support cost. This will be surely, this support cost, even though it is listed under overhead cost, something extra money the company is spending for those things, but this acts as a support cost where the customer like these things. So custom cost associated with the material handling, something qualified extra thing is being spent in packaging, which is liked by the customer. Support cost. Quality assurance. Okay, something extra quality is being built for developing the product. Purchasing. When you are going to purchase, they net மூலமா இல்லைன்னா something like advertisement they put spend of money, like for to make the product to be brought by many customer, they promote. So purchasing level they spend money. Shipping, ஒரு ஃப்ளிப்கார்ட் அந்த மாதிரி ரிலேட்டட் ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ்லாம் பார்த்தா ஆன் டைமில் அந்த 5 days டியூரேஷன்ஸில் இட் வில் பி ஷிப்ட் அப். ஸோ தட் டைப் ஆஃப் இதுக்கு நீங்கள் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா காஸ்ட்டு நீங்கள் போட்டால் தான் அந்த ஃபெசிலிட்டி பண்ண முடியும் ஒரு ப்ராடக்டை சோல்வ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு. ரிசீவிங், not even shipping, received by the customer, service oriented link, அதெல்லாம் பில்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு, whether the product is safely received to the customer on time, anything replacement, அதெல்லாம் அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்கணும். ஃபெசிலிட்டி, ஓகே, அண்ட் எக்யூப்மெண்ட் டூலிங் மெயின்டெனன்ஸ். If some companies puts extra amount of money for extending the warranty period, or in the time குள்ள நீங்க இங்க இதுல free of இதுல சர்வீஸ் பண்ணலாம். So equipment tooling maintenance, all those things are put as a support cost among others. So what are all the support cost involves? Material handling, quality assurance, purchasing, shipping, receiving, facility and equipment tooling maintenance. Okay, that's it. Okay, wait. I'll wind up. So last is manufacturing the product. Greatly depends upon the product design. Then you understand the indirect allowance, cost of manufacturing that can be directly linked to a particular product, but that may be paid for to be in business. Or business complete பண்றதுக்காக the extra amount they spend for indirect allowance, contract based. If you go and search in net what is indirect allowance, you can find the solution for it. So indirect allowance is a cost of your company's labor. Okay, you are spending some extra contact-based labor manpower to build the products. So இதெல்லாம் வந்து comes under overhead cost. Can includes any type of labor work by personnel who are not charged directly to a productions or operations on a contract basis கூப்பிட்டு அவங்கள வேலையை வாங்குறது. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, these personnel may be contract workers, அதான் சொல்றேன் இல்லையா, contract workers or consultants or temporary or seasonal employees. Okay, temporary employees. This very important points. So for arranging those contract employees also you have to spend some amount of cost. So this comes under indirect allowance. Two important information you have to remember: support cost and indirect allowance. That's enough. So overall two: manufacturing cost, component assembly overhead. Again, component na standard components irukku, customized components irukku. Assembly na labor assembly, equipment வச்சு and tooling வச்சு assemble பண்றது. Simple diagram. இதுல இருந்து கூட நீங்க words convert பண்ணிக்கலாம் exam point of view ல. Overhead க்கு support cost and indirect allowance. Customer raw materials, processing, tooling. Okay, thank you students. You can leave the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.